Welcome to Bloom with Bobby, where women and men from all walks of life share their story. And parts of their story is compared to a particular blooming flower for the women and for the men, a particular tree. I'm Bobby Hobson, and my guest today, he is a husband, a father, and the pastor, senior pastor at Love Church Memphis. Please welcome my guest, Apostle Chery Anderson.
Hello, Bobby. How you doing?
Apostle, I'm
Hey,
doing
girl.
wonderful.
All
Now you
right.
know how
So
we
good
do
to see you,
at
girl.
Bloom with Bobby. We ask
Yeah.
our male guests to identify a particular tree that they can
Okay.
kind of compare themselves to. And
Okay.
Apostle Anderson chose the palm tree.
Right.
Apostle, tell us about you and the palm tree.
When you first sent that question to me, Bobby, I immediately thought about the palm tree. I really did. And out of all the trees in the world, that palm tree is known for going through all kinds of storms. Uh, it's made to when storms happen. If you read the history on it, it helps the palm tree. It literally helps the palm tree. What it does, the roots goes real deep into the ground, and each time the storm bend it or push it, the roots expand and grow. So I thought about that, and I said, Lord, that kind of reminds me of my experience in life, how I have gone when I thought about all the different storms and the oppositions and the things that you go through in life. Um, I was always able to bounce back, just like the palm tree. I've been bent all the way down, Bobby, and when I said bent all the way down. But just like that palm tree, my roots was rooted, and it was like somehow, some way, even when I weren't saved, I would always bounce back. And I thank God for that. I thank God for that kind of image, that kind of similarity, really, because it kept me going. It kept me at a position where I didn't quit in a lot of areas of my life when I could have.
Yeah,
So the palm tree is mine. That's my
that's
tree.
yours.
And I'm gonna say this too. It represents victory, Bobby. Even the Romans used the palm tree leaves. It's represented as victory and triumph all through the scriptures. Even when Jesus did his triumphant entry into Jerusalem, they waved
They
palm
did.
branches.
They
So
did.
it's just a lot involved. In fact, it's 2,500 palms if you do the
Wow.
research on it. And lastly, let me say this: it's known that the palm tree it produces the largest seed of any tree. The largest seed, and it can weigh up to 60 pounds.
Wow.
So I said
Wow.
I was going to conclude with this point. I pray that my seeds that I plant in society, Bobby, be just as big, and it'll bring forth all kinds of fruit for this world. Okay?
Yes. Yes.
That's me.
Before I get to my next question, which is about who has impacted your life at various stages,
Hmm.
I want to tell you how you have impacted my life. And
Oh,
had it not been for you, I, I'm not sure if Amen for Women's Ministry would have been launched, because you asked me if I had shared this with, at the time, our pastor, he's still
mm.
my pastor, Apostle Alton Williams.
Yes,
And
ma'am.
you said you need to have a meeting with pastor to let him know about what you're planning to do. And I did that. And I thank you so much. And you impacted my life so much over the
You're
years
welcome.
in
You're welcome.
training me in evangelism. I want to thank you for that.
Thank you. You're
So
welcome, Bobby. It was an honor. It was just God. To God be the glory. That was part of my job with Apostle Williams to identify the people that had all types of gifts and talents, and especially the ministry and the business that you had. And he needed to know that as your pastor. So hey, it was part of my job, Bobby. And I'm
I
so glad to see you excel with it so well.
thank you. So now getting back to you, I want to know, Apostle, who has impacted your life the most in various stages of your life?
Bobby, I wanted to be fair about that because I don't want to leave out, some people. But let me just land right on all of my teachers. All of my teachers from elementary school, from junior high to high school, all of my trainers when I was in the military. I never forget this one drill instructor, senior drill instructor. We had two drill instructors, one senior drill instructor when I was in boot camp. And he put his arm around, we was doing some training one time with a rifle. And he put his arm on my shoulder and he told me, he said, Jerry, you can do this. And those few words, I was 17 years old. I will never forget it. I was in a place they called Paris Island, South Carolina. That was in the Marine Corps. And I needed some encouragement. And just those few words, him, uh, um, when it comes to my spiritual training, oh God, I want to talk. I want to mention Apostle Gene Crockett. A lot of people don't know him. He was before his time. He brought forth the word of God, the what we call teaching the word about the faith ministry way back in the 80s. But he was one of one of the people that really inspired me, that blessed me, that sowed the roots of my spiritual life was there. He trained us well, and I will always owe him a debt of gratitude and thanksgiving. God led me to a church called Central Church, Dr. Jimmy Latimer, First Evangelical. And Dr. Latimer, he was one of the greatest teachers that I had ever come across. And plus, that was a First Evan. It was a white church. And it was something how God led me there for a lot of my training from that side, if you will. And just seeing how that man did research, it really blew me away. And I learned so much from him. And he was really kind to me, he and his wife, and a lot of the people in that church. Apostle Williams, oh God, I was with Apostle Williams for 17 years. I was on staff with him for almost 7. And that man, he was younger than Jimmy Latimer, but he was smart, just like him. And when he got through with a subject, wasn't nothing else you could find about that subject. It wasn't a stone unturned. He had a great heart for people, a great heart for training. You know yourself, for teaching. Uh, I think I went through about 3 schools at that church itself. Three I would call, for lack of a word, theological schools. We had a lot of training, but theological schools that I went to in that church. And Pastor really, he's still my spiritual father. He has really been a great friend. Him and Elder Sherlin, and just to give you a little bit about the people that really impacted my life. I want to say they were the ones that did it the most. Yes, ma'am.
Wow. Now, Apostle, tell us about the church that God has given you to establish, the Love Church Memphis.
Oh, Lord have mercy. This goes back, Bobby. When I was carrying mail, for the Postal Service. And I was speaking to God one day, and I said, Lord, if you allow me to start a church someday, I'm going to preach on nothing but love. I'm gonna preach on love, Bobby, for a whole year because I understood how bad our world needed love.
Yes.
And that did it. Fast forward, I go through all the training. I'm in school. I serve in all the different ministries. All of a sudden, God opens the door. He speaks to my heart. He confirms it with my leadership that I was to start Love Church. And that capsule, if you will, that allowed my heart to express itself, if you will. I get a chance to educate people, minister to people, lead people to truth, dispel error, disinformation, deception, chaos. Get an opportunity to really lead people to God. I mean, to just do some wonderful, wonderful things for people, Bobby. That's what Love Church is about. Our vision here is love for God, love for family, marriages and family, and love for relationships. So when you talk about love for God, I mean every aspect of all that God does as His expression of love to us, our relationship to Him, our love back to Him, and then marriage and family. I needless to say, it's so many people, Bobby, so many people, especially marriages, are suffering tremendously. And they got money. Many of them got money, they got fame, they got fortune, but the thing that means the most to them more than anything, Bobby, is their relationships, their marriages. And the only reason why the stats are like it is, like 50, marriages falling, 50, barely making it, is because they don't have the wisdom of marriage. They don't know the purpose of it. They've never been nowhere to be trained about marriage. So that's part of our vision. We love talk. We save marriage. People do not get married, get married to get divorced, Bobby. They get married to stay together.
Right.
Hard times come, they don't know the purpose. Hard times come, they don't know what to say, what to do to handle these seasons, and they need the wisdom of God. Here at this church and any other church, when they come, I'm gonna say something. The media has really kind of hurt us a little bit. They do their best to show us what we need to know. But what they do, they don't show a good balance of churches and pastors. We do an extraordinary job for society and for people. And what the news do, they'll show a handful of people that messed up, and therefore men, especially men and women, don't want to go to church. And this is what they're losing when they don't go to church.
Right.
They don't know relationships. No other place is going to teach them about relationship. No other place is going to teach them that God got to be in the center of this thing,
Yes.
and that we all have to derive from His infallible, absolute truths so we can have successful marriages. And I'm bold enough to say this, Bobby, that I can guarantee a person, if they go to church, especially a church that teach the word, and if they sit down and be trained on how to be a good husband and a good wife, I promise you, their marriage will stay together for the duration.
Yes,
And
absolutely.
that's a
I mean,
guarantee.
guaranteed, guaranteed. So,
Guarantee.
Pastor, my next question is, what was your life like before the great turnaround?
Oh, Bobby. I don't know. Most people, they were all born saved, but I wasn't. I wasn't born saved. I wasn't born saved, Bobby. Okay, I got saved when I was 24 years old,
Yeah.
and it came to a point. Well, I didn't consider myself a bad person, but I did. I wasn't perfect, Bobby. I did my wrong too. Um, but I got to a point. I had a nice job, very nice job for a young man, 24 years old. I had my own place. I wore tailor-made suits. I had nice car. I mean, had plenty of money, girl. I'm just calling it like it is. And I found myself with all of that, and I felt empty. Something was missing, Bobby. Life became all of a sudden. I was experiencing everything so quickly and fast. Life became boring and repetitious, and I hate repetition. And I don't like getting bored. And I said, gotta be more to life than this, Bobby. Got to be going to school, getting a job, retiring, and dying. Got to be more to life than that. So within myself, I started searching. I said, Lord, I mean, I'm just talking to myself. It's got to be because I got to do something. I need to do something different. I don't know what it is, but my roots was in the church, and a young lady that I knew one time, she wanted to go to one of these outdoor tent meetings, and she took me. She wanted me to take her really, and once I got there, she fooled me. She wanted me to stay, and so I stayed, and the whole thing about God started then. And it was 2 years later that I told my wife now, Chery, bless her, I thank God he led me to that girl. We was at a Captain D's fish place on the parking lot. And God had been dealing with my heart. Nobody knew. I wouldn't tell nobody. God dealt with my heart. And I knew it was behind much prayer. And plus it was time. And I asked her, I said, how do you get saved? And she said, you want to get saved? I said, yes. I said, how do you get saved? I want to get saved because I want to know about God now. And she told me what to do. Ask the Lord Jesus to come into your heart. And it started from there. Started from there.
Wow. Well, Pastor, I know that you have a heart for men,
Yes, ma'am.
for wanting to see men live healthy, reach healthy manhood, keep healthy manhood somehow. So tell us about your heart's desire and about reaching men. Talk to us about that.
You know, Bobby, men, each one of those three churches I told you about earlier, I had an opportunity to serve men ministry some type of way, even all the way back to Promise Keeper. I don't know if you ever heard of Promise Keeper back in the 90s.
Mm-hmm.
But even when it came to the military, I was in what they call a non-commissioned officer position about it. So I had a chance to talk to a lot of men. I was around a lot of men of all nationalities, from the Virgin Islands to Hawaii, from Germany, just guys from Boot Hills of Kentucky. And I love being around the brothers, the men, period. And when it came time for me to counsel them, I remember back in the military, I had a lot of good to share with them, but I knew that I didn't have everything that I needed. It was like I was incomplete. So fast forward, I get into the church, and I get connected with these men ministry, and I see that the men need wisdom, they need understanding, they need relationship, they need camaraderie, and they need somebody to care about them. See, if there's a, and I'm giving you all this because these are things, Bobby, that I know that are part of men's lives, especially black men lives that they suffer silently and they don't talk to nobody about it. Especially no, just especially women. Let me just put it that way. They have a tendency to keep this to themselves, and if they open up, they'll open it up to only men that they can really, really trust. Well, they're suffering inside, and through the experiences of being around so many men and talking with them and earning their trust, they start opening up and start talking about how they was abused as little boys by their own parents, by their uncles, sexually abused. How their father that hadn't been trained how to be a father hollered at them, screamed at them all the time, and expected them to be big and strong and don't cry and all this kind of stuff. And they around so many situations in life where they was expected to be this and to be that and to do this and to do that. When did nobody give them no support, Barbara? Nobody gave them training. Nobody mentored them, but they expect them to do all these great things that men are supposed to know how to do. So I know the inside story. I know what it's like to be a black man in a southern part of the world where you go through so much in the area of racism. I know all of that. You see what I'm saying? And I've experienced it all. My daddy bought a house in an all-white neighborhood back in the 70s. And I don't even want to give you what we experienced on that. So, I don't have no animosity there, but I understand, Bobby. I understand when I went to Central Church, I understood how my white brothers, they suffered because they didn't know how to cast out demons. They wasn't they hadn't been trained on spiritual things and how to protect their family from a lot of things. And God showed me their hurts and their pains, and we talked about a lot of things. So got a lot of history behind me concerning these men. Well, this has come up. You and I talked about mentoring, and God has been dealing with me about men anyway, getting back into it. So my heart is being rekindled, especially seeing how so many of our men are suffering today. Somebody got to jump in there and help out. So I'm here to help out and see what we can do from this day forward.
Great. Well, Apostle, what is your definition of a real man?
A real man. That's a good question, Bobby. A real man, I figure, is a man, a male figure. Let me put it that way quickly. Is a male figure that will honor God. Number one, honor God, his laws, his statutes, his decrees, his rules. He's a man that understands and have the wisdom to know that when he obeys laws, when he find out about these laws, that they're there to be a blessing and not to hinder him. And most people, they feel like whenever you give them rules, laws, statutes, and decrees, they run for it because they think it's going to be something to hurt them. No, a real man, Bobby, do like David said, I will pay for your rules and your statutes if I had to. Why? Because they bless my life. They put me in a position where I can be safe. It put me on a path of righteousness. It put me on the path that God has ordained for my life. And even let me put it this way, if I desire to get married, on that path where the laws put me on is where God will help me find my wife. You see what I'm saying? And my purpose and his perfect will. So a man, and no matter what the world do, no matter how it changes, Bobby, and how the culture changed, a man is one. If he had to stand by himself, he'll stand by himself and uphold God's righteousness in this land. That's what a man is, Bobby. He take care of his family and lead them that way.
Well, Apostle, what do you value most and why?
What do I value most in what? I value most, Bobby, the soul of mankind, the soul itself, the man, the creation God made. Okay, the man, the woman, the creation. Why? Because everything else can be replaced, but your soul can't be replaced. The star can be replaced. The moon can be replaced. The sun can be replaced. All the galaxies can be replaced, all 200 trillion billion of them. But your soul can't be replaced. And it's the most valuable thing to God, then therefore it's the most valuable thing to me, to where he sends his son to die so you can have a relationship with him, this real, so he can just do one thing, love you. That's all God want to do. He just want to love you. So that's the most important thing to me. I'm getting happy up in here.
I see.
Oh,
my next question is, what would you tell your younger self?
Bobby, I would tell Chery to ignore the haters. Ignore the small stuff that comes to try to distract you. You can do it. I would tell myself, you can do whatever you put your heart to with God's help. You can do it. Whatever, you may have to cry, you may be scarred up, you may fall down, you may get in a rut, you may get set back. But long as you got God, you can be resilient in him and get the strength that he has, the unlimited strength that God has to give you so you can succeed. That's what I tell Chery.
That's awesome.
And
That's
you know, you
awesome.
don't have to worry about I would say, Jerry, you don't worry about nothing.
Mm-mm, mm-mm, mm-mm. Another question is, why do you think others should hear your story?
Because I've been through a lot, Rachel, Bob. Because I have been through my share. Plus, I'll tell you now, girl, my share plus, you know,
Yeah.
and I wouldn't wish some of the experiences, these experiences that I've had on nobody. But I do know one thing, Bobby, for you to know God is faithful, and for you to know God will come and help you, and that He'll rescue you, and that He'll cause you to excel in life. He'll bless you. Oh God, you got to know if God is faithful, you got to go through something in life. The only way you're going to know that He'll come and rescue you, you got to be in a position where you need rescuing. So I really believe the Lord allowed a lot of things for me to go through so He could prove to me that He's a rescuer. That's
Yeah.
another word for redeemer.
Yes. Yes.
Redeemed of the
Yes.
Lord say so. You
Yeah.
see what I'm saying?
I
So,
do. I
so
do. I'm sorry, Apostle. Did you say
go ahead.
something else?
No, you fine.
Okay. I want to ask you, what is your outlook for the future?
Now this may sound a little selfish, but and I was a little I was a little reluctant about saying it, but I'm gonna say it anyway. I ain't gonna mess it up though, Bobby. Listen, the Bible is full of thousands of promises. You know that, don't you?
Yes.
Thousands of promises from your God. God said, I got an inheritance for you because you're my child. When you accept Jesus as Lord and Savior, you are my child. So you get an inheritance. Jesus died and he left all the spoils for us because he in heaven. All right. The wealth of the sinners laid up for the just. They just gathering and holding it. All right. God got a covenant, a pact, a covenant, and a promise that everything He says in the Word will come to pass. I want it all
I got you.
while I'm here.
I hear you.
Watch this.
I hear you.
I want to be blessed, Bobby, so
Yeah.
I can be a blessing.
That's
Oh,
good.
Lord, have
I
mercy.
hear you.
That's it. Just
Well,
to change some folks' lives, girl.
yes. Yes. I understand that. I do. I really do. Well, Apostle, I thank you so much for being with Bloom with Bobby today. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Bobby. Thank you for having me. I think I might have talked too much, but
No, no,
we got
you good.
excited
You
here.
good.
You
You're
know,
good.
but thank you so much for allowing me and for you know, just for having me. I appreciate that so very much. Okay.
It was my pleasure. I'm honored. And I thank you all for watching Bloom with Bobby. As I said, you never know what you're going to hear. There's always a story that I'm sure can help your story to end well. And before I go, I want to tell you that this is a Love Church Memphis, located at 1542 Chery Road, and that's in Memphis, Tennessee. The phone number is 901-737-4190. The website is lovechurchmemphis.org. That's lovechurchmemphis.org. Again, thank you all for watching. I encourage you to subscribe to Bloom with Bobby if you feel that you have been inspired or encouraged. We ask you to do that. So until next time, be blessed.
Be blessed.